going to get. And this is standard, so we're going to be going through the escape sequence first. And it looks like our runners are now underway. The shortcut to Cannon is this way. Well then, what do we get out of this first chest in Link's house? Silver arrows! Well then. If an early bow, that is a really powerful weapon.
For sure, yeah. So Uncle's packing heat today in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that would be really incredible if the uncle took the bow with him. Yeah, and that is what they get as their weapon here. Also, a really difficult weapon we did not talk about is bombs. Oh, Cane of Samaria looks like their weapon.
That one's a very interesting one to deal with. Depending on how you kind of roll with it, you can either just push the block into enemies, you can shoot the little beams out of it, and either way, it's not as consuming of your magic bar, so it's a little safer than some of those other magic-based.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Well, that's what makes those other ones more difficult, is that they consume magic significantly faster. The Kingdom of Samaria, as you can see, they were able to refill off of using it a bunch of times there, just refilling off of one small green pot. So they're going to get a ton of uses out of this guy.
And of course, if Turtle Rock and or Misery Mire end up being required dungeons, if they're crystals, it's definitely in some ways nice to have the cane early so that you're not restricted from completing the dungeon because you can't find this item.
Yep. Yeah, my seed last night had the Cane of Samaria deep in Misery Mire, and Misery Mire was the last crystal. So couldn't even get into Turtle Rock because you didn't have it. So, but yeah, that just, goes to your point right there. Although, if, say, something like Turtle Rock is a pendant, having the cane early means you might have to go in there, and it is long and arduous. So there are bonuses and negatives to that.
For sure. And that first chest, as they get further into the castle, they found some bombs, which is really nice for when they go to the back side, like in the sewers. Because there's 3 chests back there that you need bombs to get to. And it's not fun to have to retrace your steps just for those 3 chests.
Exactly. That's a great find for being able to complete all of the escape in one go. Of course, what they do want to keep in mind that the map is going to be down here, or they're somewhere along the line they're going to find the map. So that if they don't find it anywhere, then it could just be simply in the sanctuary chest, as well as the ball and chain guard obviously dropping the big key here. And there's a sword off the Zelda chest. That's really nice find early, too.
Indeed, it's always nice to have a quick, accessible weapon. We might see that being used more than the red cane as they get through the rest of escape here.
Oh yeah, I 100%. I think we're going to start to see them. Now they have the sword. They're definitely going to switch over to that as their primary weapon, and they'll use the cane whenever it is faster or well, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh well, you get the idea.
Basically, it might not get pulled out too much until we get to Misery Mire or Turtle Rock at this point.
Yeah, I think they'll use it a little bit more now for some things, but I think they have the sword now. It's I don't think the cane does too much more damage than the fighter sword. So. But yeah, we'll wait to see. I think our runners they're gonna go over into town after this. And what kind of items do you think we're gonna be seeing in town here? We still don't know where anything is, so.
Very true. I don't know. With that sword, that does put them 1 out of 3 items into having to visit Aghanim to get Dark World access.
Yep.
And they still haven't found any alternate Dark World access. Yep. And I feel like I haven't seen too many Aga 1 seeds myself. And runs I've seen, so I feel like that'd be a nice change of pace if we see a lantern and a master sword or cape in Kakariko.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a rarity there. The Aga 1 visit for sure. Something like the Moon Pearl sitting on the pyramid would absolutely mean that Aga is required. Not having any other access to the Dark Worlds, not finding the gloves, or the hammer, or combinations thereof would certainly mean that they'd have to go to Aga 1. For sure. And here we see VioletPumpkin coming back to that area you were mentioning earlier, picking up another bomb drop there. That's actually really nice. They're now having 3. There's that map I mentioned. And a Master Sword. Wow, that could be an indicator for an Aga 1 seed. Yeah, now having 3 bombs, that's going to give Violet all of the bombs that they're going to need in order to open up the areas in town. That being the thieves' hideout, the well, and the chicken house.
We just need a lamp here in Sanctuary, and they could go straight to Aghanim out of Escape, and that'd be ridiculous if one of them did something like that.
Oh yeah, another 3 bomb drops though, and it looks like VioletPumpkin is saving and quitting there. Meanwhile, JCopes is coming right around. They're gonna head over into town. It looks like VioletPumpkin wants to go straight for sewers and possibly Moldorm. All right, there was a map check. There was a red crystal over at Eastern and another crystal at Desert Palace, and I didn't quite catch the Tower of Hera.
Interesting to see this divergence between these 2 runners this early on. I feel like I'm used to seeing most runners at least head in the direction of Kakariko, even if they don't check the Lumberjack. But going to the South Shore area first is definitely a less common play.
Yeah, so many items there, and the bug net is in the tree. I don't know that JCopes is going to want to go get that, but it's nice to know. If they do end up doing Aga, and they find the boots, that will certainly open that up as a safety item. But it's not a driving kind of item. And ooh, the little bug there pops out bombs. That's a really nice way to refill. Oh, and the first gloves right here in the woods. That's a really nice find. Meanwhile, VioletPumpkin not finding too much over in sewers and heading over here to Mini Moldorm Cave. And there's a nice upgrade there. Blue Mail. Well now, half magic at the Mini Moldorm Cave. And the flute! And the Moon Pearl! Well, that's... I mean... When Violet goes over to Lost Woods and picks up the gloves, you're talking about a hammer away from Dark World access.
Yeah, so it comes down to what do we see first, Lamp or that other piece of Dark World access. Although if they do find Lamp, that would give them access to Aghanim. However, it also gives them a couple more items to look at up in Death Mountain. So at the very least, getting the Lamp wouldn't immediately guarantee Aghanim being the play.
Yeah, the other interesting thing here is now with this, VioletPumpkin has the flute and can activate it the first time they go into town.
That is very true. We got a cape down in Blind's basement here.
Yeah, and one other big thing, the Power Glove. So that means VioletPumpkin is going to have complete Dark World access because there's that Power Glove. And if they want to, they can go straight to Dark World right here from town. Especially having that Moon Pearl pick up from Mini Moldorm Cave. So that's really, really huge. They're going to have the flute and the power, the Titansmiths. And Tempered Sword already.
What are we getting in this seed? Easy Dark World access, strong weaponry. Already found a blue mail one of these runners has. Just being pretty friendly early on, but sometimes that just means the back end is going to be a whole lot trollier instead.
Yeah, not too many hearts, not too many hearts. So they're going to have to be very careful with with taking damage, and zero safeties. But I mean, this is a very aggressive item set that they have. Yeah, we have Dark World access here in about 10 minutes in this seed. VioletPumpkin is going to have access as soon as they go back up here and pick up these Titan's myths. I don't think they're going to want to go straight in to the Dark World. I think they're going to want to complete at least a little bit more around town. But they have completed that South Shore area, as you pointed out. So they can go right to the Dark World there. And with this item set, it is going to give them at least Thieves' Town Dungeon. They don't have the fire rod for Skull Woods, but they can go up there and check that. If that turns out to be a pendant, they can go up there and look for the 2 items. All right, we have a race game check by JCopes, and nothing too interesting.
And inside the library, we did see a shield upgrade, so a good chance we won't be seeing any mirror shields running around in this seed, because I doubt they'll be heading back to the library for that.
Yeah, that's something that runners typically will avoid, the shield. It's okay when you pick it up, I guess, but nobody's going to go out of their way for it too often. All right, looks like VioletPumpkin's going to go over and activate that flute. And JCopes is going to pick up the 2 items here in the sewers, starting off with that bomb upgrade.
And the goose is loose, as they say, on VioletPumpkin's side here. And interesting, just playing, basically right now these 2 runners are playing a game of catch up as they take turns doing what the other one has done. So it'll be interesting to see what each one's thinking after they finish all this and each have all their Dark World items, but they're getting their last ones in different places.
Yeah, very true. It's a nice little divergence here. I think it's paid off a little bit more for VioletPumpkin, as they now have an active flute, whereas JCopes going to pick up this flute here, but it's not going to be activated until a little bit later. They're going to have to either go back into town explicitly to activate it, which they may do, because that will give them they just go right up into the Dark World at this point. Yeah, I think that VioletPumpkin there has a little bit of an edge, just based on the routing choice, going to that South Shore, picking up that flute first.
For sure, but with 12 minutes in, there's always plenty of time for that to turn around.
This seed, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This seed is... There's so much game left to play.
I believe both runners skipped Ice Rod Cave during their South Shore visit. Is that correct? I didn't miss...
That is correct. Neither runner has checked the Ice Rod Cave. It's one more item. It's out of the way. And VioletPumpkin going to be fluting over straight into the desert area and heading to Misery Mire. This is really interesting. Does not have the medallion to enter into Misery Mire, nor hook shot or boots. And
so they're getting 2 chests and a little bit of intel, basically seeing what the medallion is to get in, it would seem.
Yeah, I did not see the medallion there. I think we got a little bit of a peek. No mirror to get checkerboard or anything like that over here, or get into desert either. And there's the Quake medallion. Now that is an interesting pickup. If that opens up, I missed that. Hopefully our tracker got a hold of that medallion there for Misery Mire. And here's JCopes. Looks like a blue pendant on Turtle Rock there, and red pendant I think was Skull Woods. Did you happen to see where the green pendant was?
I was actually looking at the delayed stream. I found it was Bombos as the Misery Mire medallion. That's what I was paying attention to.
All right, Bombos is the Misery Mire medallion. That's good to know too. All right, JCopes picking up nothing but a big 20 there in the chest game. Losing some money in that exchange. I'm VioletPumpkin heading up to Skull Woods now here. Meanwhile, JCopes keeps going around Thieves Town. I kind of like that. There's no... Okay, it was the 6th crystal is Skull Woods. So the green pendant is, in fact, Misery Mire. It looks like. And it looks like Thieves Town is the other pendant.
So while Violet's in Skullwoods here, they'll be basically trying to count up to 2 because that is the number of non-dungeon items they'll find in here. So if they find 2 quick items in early chests, which so far they're just finding keys, that's not the case. But if they did, they might be able to just head out for now because they know they can't complete the dungeon without Fire Rod.
Yeah, 1, 3. Oops. Sorry, I already messed that up. Alright, JCopes here doing the digging game. Let's see how many digs does it take. Well, this is quite a number of digs. And a bottle, an empty bottle, but a bottle nonetheless. That will open up the sick kid in town. But nothing doing in the dark world. Also nice safety item if JCopes decides to go over to the witch to fill it up. Or if JCopes does get that bug net, you can fill it up with the fairies. Alright, JCopes here taking the frog on the world tour. Looks like they're gonna head over to Old Stumpy and maybe Hype Cave. Meanwhile, VioletPumpkin heading around through the Village of Outcasts. Actually, taking a dip here into Thieves Town Dungeon. This is certainly an interesting choice. There are 4 chests easily available here at the top, and there's a B-Torp. Let's see how long VioletPumpkin holds on to that B. Apparently, if you get a B in a bottle, and V-Torp is commentating your race, he will get severely depressed if you let it go in a cave right away after picking it up. Sorry, V-Torp. Well, yeah, there's that. What's that?
I would say we got a Hype Cave check over on JCopes' side. Be interesting to see if it lives up to its name today or not.
Yeah, certainly will be good. So far, big 20. That's not very hype, but the lamp and the mirror and fetch quest mushroom. That actually is pretty hype there. Lamp, mirror, and we'll see if the mushroom pays off in a little bit. Nothing too much they're doing in the 4 chests for VioletPumpkin. And looks like they're going to take an intentional death here to get out of Thieves Town Dungeon.
It's got to be frustrating checking those front 4 chests and only finding 1 out of 4 potential items. That means you're leaving a whole bunch in the back.
Yeah, and it is a pendant dungeon, so it's double frustration there. Because it's just like, I did all this stuff, and I got nothing out of it, and there's not even anything in this dungeon. Like, there's no... Oh, man. Words are hard today. There's no point in going in there and continuing on to finish. Oh, the asterisk symbol on the dungeon there, I think, is the green pendant. Is what you're seeing there. That marks the green pendant.
And the significance of the green pendant is that you do get 1 item if you bring the green pendant back to Sahasrahla.
That is correct. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that.
And the blacksmiths are forging boots today for us.
Yeah, I mean, this routing that JCopes has done so far after that initial the initial tour has really been paying off. And looks like your JCopes is going to be using the Cane of Samaria to do the mushroom glitch to hit up the Mad Batter. And there it is. You can empty out all of your magic, activate the Cane of Samaria, and then basically the same frame, pause, switch over to the mushroom, and for some reason, it thinks you have the powder and will spray a little.
I gotta say, I do appreciate JCopes' use of the lamp to have a little mini rave to drain the magic out.
It's probably the fastest way that he currently has to drain his magic. So I do like that. That was certainly cute. And there's JCopes turning in that mushroom. So we're gonna find out what the witch has here in just a moment as VioletPumpkin heads over to the hype cave. And they are going to be hyped with what is in there, that mirror and lamp, as well as the mushroom. And JCopes deciding that that particular item, no good. So the witch mushroom does not pan out, but JCopes well aware of what was going on there now. So nice. Oop. Missing the duck there. Looks like, oh, maybe he did that on purpose. He's going to go over to Agina now. All right, VioletPumpkin following hotly on JCopes' heels here. Taking that dwarf on the world tour.
Unfortunately, not routing in, going into Dark World first. So maybe who had second thoughts, realized, ooh, I can put a whole bunch of stuff together here. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Good audible on Violet's part here.
Yeah, I like that for sure. All right, and JCopes heading over to the Misery Mire area. I like this play. Now they have the mirror, so they're going to be able to check a whole bunch of things as well as go into Desert Palace. And even if Desert Palace is boot locked, they have the boots. So that is one dungeon that they can absolutely complete. Given the Misery Mire is also a pendant, they're probably going to be loath to go in there. It only holds two chests. They don't have the medallion to go in there anyway, so this is fine. They can clear out all the areas around here, and then move along home. Good. Excuse me. Go right to the next area they want to go to. Which, interestingly enough, nobody has gone yet up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, with the way these items are just sort of leading to these quick down below the mountain checks, it's just interesting change of pace to some other common things you might see happening. So, I think it's kind of cool that we haven't been up the mountain 20 minutes in yet.
Yeah, I could certainly agree with that. No hook shot, which I think is also kind of a big thing for no hook shot, no hammer. That's kind of a really big thing for not wanting to go up the mountain just yet, because having both of those will certainly give you access to a lot more in the mountain. So I think you're right. With all these other items, you can check so much more down south here. Why bother going up the mountain? Yeah, plus Copes now has everything to complete, everything they need to complete Desert Palace here. That's going to get them a crystal. So we're 20-some minutes in here, and they'll have their first crystal. It'll be the first crystal of the race. And I think Pumpkin here is heading pretty much in the same direction. Oh, they flew it away now. Yep, and right to the mire area. Okay. It'll be interesting to see if either one of these runners checks Checkerboard Cave.
I imagine that'll be routed in, plus Violet will also be doing Agina's Cave after this whole desert area, I'd presume.
Yeah.
And with a heart container and bombs were the two items we found in desert downstairs, so we know that it's just going to be a map on Land Molus, but, you know, even though it won't be an interesting item, it still will be a crystal, so definite progression as they go through, as JCopes heads up here to the top portion of desert.
Yeah, and that progression is what we're looking for here. That first crystal, we're 25 minutes in. These runners, they really just want to get that crystal under their belt right now. You know, at least I would certainly be kind of like on edge. Well, give me this first crystal. I'm in the dungeon. I want to get this thing. My opponent probably is already got a crystal. We're, you know, so they probably are getting a little antsy for that crystal. So, especially with the plethora of items that have been given out already. Tempered sword so early, you know.
Silvers too. I'm sure these runners are just dying to get their hands on the bow to start flinging some silver arrows willy-nilly.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was hanging out somewhere on Death Mountain.
So I'm anticipating a checkerboard check here from JCopes, but after that, it'll be interesting to see what's the next play on their mind, you know?
Yeah, I would hope that both of our runners go and do the checkerboard. Not to forget that it's right here while they're in this area, and it looks like you're exactly right here. Jacob's going to go over to checkerboard, and then from there, I think they can go over to the eastern area. Nobody has gone over there. Just 3 bombs in that checkerboard cave, so nothing very interesting. In addition to that, there is Zora. They have almost enough money to go to Zora. And it looks like here's JCopes going up to the mountain. He's going to go get the old man. And let's find out what the old man gives.
Which definitely, at this point, it makes sense for JCopes to have the mountain, especially because with Fire Source and Mirror, we now do have access to complete Tower of Hera. Ooh, and a little mistake there by Violet trying to use the mirror to light the torches upstairs.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Do what you want to do.
No, it brings them right back to the entrance. So, yeah, I like this. This is a good play here by JCopes. To your point there, it's more progression.
Perhaps Violet was thinking there was sunlight coming through the ceiling of desert and was trying to reflect it into the little torch spot, like how little kids try to burn ants and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. And on top of Spectacle Rock was the flippers. So that is certainly an interesting thing. Just an entire heart container inside Spectacle Rock. And JCopes says, I'm not interested in that. But there's the flippers. So this is going to open up with either Fire Rod or Bombos Medallion. It'll open up Ice Palace. And they do have the mirror. No hook shot. But that's what they would need for Swamp Palace. Is the hook shot. So finding those items will get them those dungeons. But I think that's certainly an interesting pickup. That also does open up the entire area of Zora, Zora the Ledge, and the Fairy Falls that's up there.
All that and Hobo as well.
Yeah, Hobo and Lake Hylia Island, because they have the mirror to go into there as well, which we haven't seen anything that's over there. Because none of the runners have gone over to that area, not even an ice cave check. So, ice rod cave.
Very true. So far, JCopes has found a big key and a small key, and now a bomb expansion.
Yeah, there's +5 bombs for JCopes. I'm sure that's exactly what they were looking for.
Indeed. It's always good to make sure you don't run out of bombs, right?
Yeah. Here you go. Here's this ice rod cave check here by VioletPumpkin. And we'll see if they don't have the flippers just yet. So let's see if they decide to set up a fake flippers or walk on water and head on up to Zora while they're over here, as well as checking things like Hobo and the Lake Hylia item.
That would be good. Also on JCopes' side, the big chest in Hera is where our hammer is.
Yeah, that's a nice one. So I think this play up to Death Mountain here has been a nice little payoff for JCopes.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's 2 items in Hera. Plus, with hammer, they can now just head to the east side of Death Mountain if they so choose. So
yeah,
very interesting item setup to get there. Yeah, they already pulled the hammer out, so it looks like they're heading east.
Yeah, I would think, that is exactly their plan, is to head over to east, because once they open up that, you're talking about Paradox Cave, Spiral Cave, Super Bunny, no Hookshot Cave just yet. They can only get the 1 chest in the bottom, given that they have boots, but I mean, you're still talking about 5, 7, 9, 10 chests. Plus, you can check out the medallion on Turtle Rock. And then, of course, there's the floating island there that JCopes just checked, which is obviously just 10 arrows and nothing of interest.
Yeah, mentioning that single chest in Hookshot Cave that they have access to, I've heard legend of it being possible for Hookshot to be there. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely possible for Hookshot to be there. I have not seen it myself, but yeah, it is certainly possible that Hookshot could be there. You can bonk a couple of times using the boots, which both runners have, as you see VioletPumpkin making use of the spin speed right there, and you can get access to that chest. And so there's VioletPumpkin going to come in and check and see here under Spectral Rock Cave that is just a big heart. Probably not going to go pick that up, but does want to go pick up their flippers here. And then JCopes coming in here to the Paradox Cave here, getting the items on the bottom. Nothing too big there, just a big heart. Let's see what happens up top.
You sure they're at the top now? I thought they were at the bottom.
I don't know. The Cave's a Paradox.
Indeed.
I feel like this is the top, but there's Fire Rod. Yeah, I feel like this is the top because you went up the stairs and you fall down the hole there. So
from the inside, for sure, it's the top. But once you go outside, it's like, wait a second.
Yeah, once you're
upstairs, but I was downstairs.
That's why it's Paradox Cave. And so, yeah, it looks like JCopes is going to go over and activate the Turtle Rock portal in order to get to the Dark World up here. So that means no Spiral Cave check by them. Unless they already did it, in which case...
I think that's how they came down the mountain. Ooh, using Quake, they're going to open this. What would be crazy is if they went in. I highly doubt it, but it's a play that could be made.
Yeah, you're right. They did do Spiral Cave earlier on. So, I see no reason to go into Turtle Rock at this point. It's also a pendant, and it's not even the green pendant. So
exactly.
There's plenty of other areas to go and check, including this one here, which is that Hookshot Cave. And there's bonk number 1, and here's bonk number 2, and not the Hookshot. Sorry, man. You have to be disappointed yet again.
One of these days.
That's true. You can ask for a Plando and have one of the people just generate you a seed with the Hookshot there.
If I get desperate, but at this point I feel like that wouldn't be authentic, you know?
I suppose. There's Red Meringue in the Super Bunny chests. That's a nice little pickup. It does cause a little bit of lag with the sparkles that it puts adds onto the screen. But some people prefer the boomerang strats with the red boomerang. Others prefer it with the bloomerang. I'm a bloomerang man. How about you?
I think I usually just use whichever one is on the screen when I first pause it.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think I like the red meringue because I don't like. I just use it to get long distance shots. I don't necessarily try to do those trick shots where you like throw it and move to the side because I'm not that fancy yet.
Oh, okay. I pretend to be fancy. All right,
Fake
there's
it till you
Violet.
make it, you know.
Yeah, for real. There's VioletPumpkin getting that piece of heart there in the spiral cave, and JCopes coming into Ice Palace. Now, this is certainly an interesting move here. Ice Palace, a little bit arduous, having to full complete it, and they're certainly going to be looking to check as many chests as possible in here. But I think this is the right call as far as the item set that they currently have. They have that fire rod, and they have they have found the flippers. The other dungeon that is totally open to JCopes is Skull Woods, to which one of them went in there and checked the items, and I don't remember which one. You? Was it JCopes?
I want to say it was Violet, and also along with that, I'm not sure if we got like the last of the front chest check, like the one that you need to pull the statue onto the switch.
Yeah.
And I don't think Violet found any items in there, or at least nothing useful yet.
Yeah. I remember that there wasn't anything very exciting in there when we went in there, but yeah. So as far as looking for items, I think this Ice Palace play is going to pay out a little bit better than the Skull Woods play.
That's a very good chance. The only interesting thing about this Ice Palace play is I'm sure these runners, given their records, probably know how to bomb jump, but it's possible that at least part of the dungeon is not in logic without the hook shot. Yes,
that is true. Yeah, because that one portion with all the jellies in it is logicked to have the hook shot. But of course, you can bomb jump across there and get the chests that are in those items. So you would have to pay attention to that. So anything that you get over that portion of the dungeon, would automatically include you having the hook shot.
What would be crazy is if they find the hook shot somewhere like along the left side of the dungeon, so they expected you to come here without it and then be able to full clear afterwards.
Yeah. That's certainly possible. And there's a nice location for the big key there. JCopes able to lay a bomb, and then go and pick up the big chest. And that's an item I hate seeing when Turtle Rock is a pendant, because that means you probably need to go there, and you probably need to defeat Trinax.
It is a very appropriate place to find the ice rod, though, in the big chest of Ice Palace.
You know, I'm always surprised that that's not like the location for something like that. You know, we always get like the fire item in the Ice Palace, which always seems contradictory to me. It's like, why would you hide a fire item that in the location of ice, where it's the exact opposite of what you want in there?
Yeah, perhaps the boss of the place just really wanted to make sure it was sealed and locked tight, and they just didn't think that someone would go break into their dungeon and get the weapon to kill him.
Yeah, I guess. I'm gonna watch the only thing that could kill me, I guess. Anyway, that's not the case for this dungeon. You actually get the blue mail in here.
So it's very interesting to see. These runners are very much like in common mind routing-wise here. I think the only real differences we've seen were like a couple of dungeon dips, like into Skull and Thieves Town. Besides that, these runners are doing very similar plays.
Yeah, and that's interesting there. JCopes not going up to do that bomb jump there. They're just coming around. Looks like they're going to go down to Cold Stare now. Yeah. So there is a portion of the dungeon that JCopes has not yet completed there. So with half magic here and the fire rod, they're going to need most of their magic meter here. about a little over half of it, since they don't have a full meter. But this tempered sword is gonna make. Oh no! Oh no! I was gonna say that the tempered sword would have made a really easy kill on Cold Stare if they were able to keep it all together, but yeah, Cold Stare can be rough when it separates like that.
Indeed, yeah, that's gotta be frustrating for JCopes.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big time loss to have to circle around the entire dungeon again like that. And VioletPumpkin not having the key there. The blue jelly still holding on to that. Alright, VioletPumpkin trying their first bomb jump here. While that bomb jump is not in logic, that bomb jump is also... That is not the bomb jump that we were talking about earlier. But that's the most common bomb jump you're going to see in this dungeon. So we'll see if VioletPumpkin goes and does the other bomb jump. Given that neither runner has the hook shot.
And at this point, is the ice rod the only non-dungeon item we've found so far in here?
Is which item?
The ice rod. I know there's a total of
Yes.
3. Yeah, there's 3 items in here. Oh, and we see Violet going for that trickier, the less common bomb jump, the one that gets you past this hookshot room.
Yeah, this is the bomb jump that we were talking about earlier. This is the one that logically you're supposed to have the hook shot to get anything past here. And I like this because this is going to open up all the items on this side. And I think you're right. The ice rod is the only thing we've found so far. So there's 3 chests in here that Violet's going to be able to get. And the first one is the compass. Maybe there was a bomb upgrade in that first chest with the gator penguins. Whatever those things are. And a key. Oh, Cold Stare must have something.
It would seem so.
Yeah, there's also the chest in the absolute bottom, which I don't think was checked.
Oh yeah, that iced T-shaped room. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anybody has checked that yet.
And with the key in that U-shaped room, looks like the T and Cold Stare are where our last 2 items are going to be.
Yeah. All right, JCopes having a much easier time here with this second attempt at Cold Stare. Getting those tempered spins. And JCopes with their second crystal. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's their third crystal. They have the Desert Palace, Tower of Hera, and now Ice Palace. So, 43 minutes in here, we have 3 crystals, and all these items, there's still a lot more to this game to go. We need the bow for Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness, as well as the hook shot, still very elusive for Swamp Palace. And Skullwood's very completable now with the Fire Rod, but you know, there's still some major things missing that our runners are going to be looking for.
Indeed. So yeah, this is a very interesting point in the run. Might be another chance for some potential divergence again.
Yeah, if we're really, really masochistic here, could this still be a pedestal seed? I would actually think yes. It could be something like the hook shot on the pedestal. Turtle Rock doesn't require the hook shot. To the
I
best
believe
of my knowledge.
they have everything they need for Turtle Rock at this point. Misery Mire just needs Bombos, I believe.
No, you need the Cane of Samaria, and that's it.
Well, Bombos to get in, and then they have the Cane of Samaria from.
Sure, you need the medallion to get in, and then you need the boots to get across the gap.
Exactly.
And the logic will accept either the boots or the hook shot. So they have the boots currently. So that logic's in Misery Mire, having the cane, the boots, and whatever medallion you need to get in there. Of course, they would need to find the Bombos medallion. So yeah, that would be just awful. But yeah, finding something like Bombos, I would start to wonder. You know, are these pendant dungeons, especially having found Ice Rod? You know, is there what's up in Turtle Rock?
Indeed. So we got some divergence going on here, by the way. Violet putting those flippers to use, heading to the hobo.
Yeah, I think JCopes swam around here a little bit earlier. I don't think they picked up the hobo, but this would be a nice pickup. Big 20 there. Good information to have. Not a great item, but JCopes is just spamming that fire rod, getting rid of all the Gibdos. And where is VioletPumpkin going to go? Looks like they're going to go back to the Dark World. And perhaps a Skull Woods play, given they have the fire rod, and it is a crystal. So at this point in time, I think they're kind of running thin. I don't know. You've cleared out all of Death Mountain. Do you really want to go up to the to Turtle Rock up there?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard call when you have the option to enter a crystal dungeon that you can at least scout out but can't finish.
Yeah.
Or full clear a pendant. That's sometimes a tough decision to make.
Yeah, neither Eastern Palace nor Palace of Darkness are completable without the bow. Given the mimics in certain rooms in those dungeons, you can do a lot of Palace of Darkness, and you can certainly check all the chests except for the Armos Knights in Eastern Palace. So you can get the 3 items or potentially the 5 items out of those 2 dungeons respectively. But, you know, is it worth your time investment to go and do those now when, you know, the thing you're looking for might not be in there? And we'll see. These runners so far have been playing really sharp. I think they've been playing to mostly they've been playing to, you know, the outs that the game has been given them. So VioletPumpkin on that Mothula fight. Yeah, so definitely this confirms that VioletPumpkin went into Skullwoods earlier. They just went straight to Mothula, while JCopes is still kind of looking for items here, even though they have Mothula down now.
Yeah, JCopes just got a hold of the big key in the last chest they checked, so see what this big chest has for him.
Oh, it's a bloomerang. That's really not what they're looking for. He's going to give them the red meringue and the bloomerang, so they can get their choice. What do you like? Pick your poison if you're going to do some bloomerang strats. Alright, looks like we're going to get a bumper cave check here from JCopes. And it's a red bottle. JCopes says nope.
Yeah, turning this into a nice little northern loop, I guess you sort of call it.
Yeah. Yeah, they can check. JCopes can come here and check out Bonk Rocks, can check out the Graveyard Ledge, as well as the King's Tomb. So yeah, I like where you're thinking here.
And should they keep heading east, Catfish is also in that direction if they hop across the little water there.
That's true, and not only that, but none of our runners have been over to Zora yet either. So you can do all of that in one go. Definitely have enough cash flow at this point in time to do that as well. So yeah, you're. I think you're right on the money here with that. Yeah, nope. 3 bombs up here in the ledge. That's a no-go.
It's a decent return on investment because you only need 1 bomb to get in there.
Yeah, I suppose, but there are bombs in the pots before you even get to that point. I'm going to say your ROI is a little bit watered down on that. And VioletPumpkin also checking that bumper cave, seeing that it is a red potion, and says nope. Meanwhile, King's Tomb turning up a big 20 for JCopes, who I'm sure is pretty sad. These runners, they're doing like just the exact same thing. They have the exact same thought at pretty much the exact same time here. This is really stunning.
For sure, it's like an intense game of follow the leader across 2 worlds.
Yeah, there's been some divergence, and I think that's kind of the differentiator between the two of them right now. And I mean, they're not that far apart from each other. So, like, yeah, sure, is Violet like a little bit behind right now, but it's not a significant amount, you know. And I feel like they've already kind of traded leads at least once in this race already. So it's, you know. This is still anyone's game. JCopes, nope to that little bit of love from the Catfish. Gonna just go right into the Fairy Falls here. And a nice little red mail. What does JCopes get from the fairy here? Fill up my bottle, please. Hey, listen. And it's a B. Oh no, JCopes. You, just like me, have made VTorp sad. Releasing that bee right into the middle of a cave. So yeah, just for reference, my I raced last night, and VTorp was my commentator, and I did just that. What JCopes did, was release the bee as soon as I got it. And VTorp was very sad about that. I learned that as I rewatched my race. All right, life lessons here from King Zora. Only a big 10 plus to the your bomb capacity, and it's definitely not worth your 500 rupees.
Indeed. So with that whole like north loop of overworld locations just being one huge bust.
Yeah.
Okay, JCopes is thinking it's time for a pod play. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a crystal dungeon. It's a crystal dungeon that they have access to with the most available chests. So this is a very, very reasonable play. In addition to that, they can set up going into Eastern Palace and checking that out with a possible 3 additional chests. Any finding of the bow means both of these dungeons are completable. So, you know, and here I like this too. Sahasra's hut, 3 chests in here. No one has checked out this. So finding the bow in here would be huge. It would make both of these completable. Sadly, that was not the bow. All right, VioletPumpkin back up on Death Mountain. Is this a Turtle Rock? Are we going to Turtle Rock? I can't think of anything else that's up here that you would want.
Spike Cave, but that's 1 check.
Yeah, that seems Spike Cave seems really out of the way. I mean, maybe it holds the letter D. That bow, but no, I think this is a Turtle Rock. No book, so no ether tablet. And they just mirrored up on top of Spectacle Rock, so this really makes me think Turtle Rock here. This is a serious gamble.
Yeah, this is the big divergence we've been waiting for to see just how crazy this race could become.
Oh, absolutely. This is exactly the kind of thing we've been looking for. I am edging my seat right here now. What is VioletPumpkin going to find in Turtle Rock? That ice rod, ever since they picked that up, that's been sticking in the back of my mind saying, Turtle Rock, Turtle Trinax. Ice rod's only good for one thing in the entire game, and that is the Firehead of Trinax. That's it.
Indeed, so that definitely puts Trinax in the front here of mind. That's a very good point. Do you possibly know if JCopes has any potions in their pocket?
No. Nope, they got the B, and they let it go. But the other bottle they got was empty. Actually, I think they only have one bottle right now. So JCopes only has the one bottle, which they tried to fill up in the Fairy Falls, but got a B out of it and let it go.
Okay, which means, unfortunately, we won't be seeing a potion glitch to get through the bow-locked portion of Pod, then.
That is correct. No potion glitch for the bow lock portion. Of course, they did find the key, so that meant they could continue around and go around the back. But that entire right-hand side is not going to be accessible to JCopes. The basement right-hand side, that is.
And on Violet's side, we see the hook-shotless strat getting through lighting those torches while on the block. It's a little boring and slow, but sometimes you got to do it if you don't have the hook shot.
Yeah, using the cape here in the roller room as well, where typically the hook shot would also be used. Getting that big magic refill that's there. I missed with that item that JCopes picked up there in the bottom of Palace of Darkness here.
They just got a pair of keys.
Okay, pair of keys, not what he's looking for. All right, VioletPumpkin now into the Chain Chomp room. I mean, I'm kind of on edge. I wanna focus on just what Violet's doing in Turtle Rock. I know that JCopes is probably gonna find something, whether it's what they're looking for here in Palace of Darkness or not. There must be something in here. There's just too many chests to not have anything. Maybe the hook shots lying around here. That would open up Swamp Palace.
Getting that big key at least lets them check what's in the big chest, but it's delaying what could be something really exciting or really frustrating.
Yeah, another big 20. That's really frustrating for JCopes, and they are just out of Palace of Darkness. And they're going to be on to Eastern Palace, and here it is. There are 3 chests in here that actually contain items. So 3 possibilities. This is looking really thin for JCopes, and this might be... This Turtle Rock play by VioletPumpkin is looking more and more enticing as time goes on here, and there just seems to be nothing in Palace of Darkness and maybe nothing in Eastern Palace.
What would be crazy is if both of these runners are wrong and they were supposed to go to Thieves Town or Swamp instead.
Oh my goodness! Well, they can't go to Swamp without the hook shot, but yeah,
so you
there's
got
only
a couple
one
chests up front at least.
There's one chest that's accessible. That first one always dropping a key. The bombable one off to the side there would contain an item.
They can get to the left side, and then also there's one chest kind of down below where the big chest is. But yeah, without hookshot, they can't get to the back area, which is where a lot of the chests are.
Yeah, yeah. I would say not worth it in my opinion to go into swamp. Not without hook shot. So all right, VioletPumpkin coming. Mimic Cave now. Man, hook shot being in here, that would be just crazy. I'm really feeling like that hook shot is it's just going to be on Trinax.
Still, these runners both aren't finding anything. Just got some
No.
money and then a compass, and Mimic Cave just having arrow upgrades.
Oh yeah.
This is
Yeah.
just dragging on for a while with both of these runners just hunting and pulling out nothing for their troubles.
Yeah. There's the Ether Medallion. That does not open up Misery Mire, as we know already that it is Bombos required for that. Yeah, the other thing here is that Laser Bridge coming up here, not really in logic, as the runners do not have the mirror shield.
Oh, there's
There
our
it
hook
is.
shot, though.
That's yeah, there it is. I mean, that's that might be the differentiator here. That is huge. Because, I mean, that's going to say, you know, that opens up Swamp Palace for VioletPumpkin. There's 6 chests in Swamp Palace, which contain items. And meanwhile, you know, JCopes is kind of floundering around a little bit, checking out everything in all of the crystal dungeons that they can. And the longer it takes them to get over here to Turtle Rock to pick up that hook shot, it's absolutely required. The more time that Violet has to check, well then, Butter Sword for VioletPumpkin. Just check everything out and take a lead. So this has been huge here for VioletPumpkin.
Indeed.
Yeah, this Swamp Palace dip here for Violet. Careful with that mirror. That is okay. So VioletPumpkin choosing not to fight Trinax. Certainly would be interesting if the Bombos medallion is on Trinax. But I didn't quite catch the item count there for how many items they picked up in Turtle Rock. So if they do have them all already, which is possible after seeing what was on Laser Bridge, they're ready to go into Swamp Palace. And the difference here is that they have the hook shot, so they can complete this. So even if the bow is in Swamp Palace early, and JCopes is able to find it, they're still missing the hook shot, and they need to go into Turtle Rock in order to get it. And so they're just delaying the inevitable.
Indeed.
Chances of bow being on pedestal are it's possible.
I mean, you mentioned the fact that we found Ice Rod, and the only thing it gives us is putting Trinax into the logic. So that sort of at least makes you kind of raise an eyebrow to the possibility.
Nope, there it is. There it is. Early accessible in Swamp Palace here, and I mean, I don't know this. If you're JCopes, what do you do now? You have the bow. You can finish both Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace, but you're still kind of in the same spot. You have no hook shot.
Indeed, that is a pretty rough situation to be in. So I imagine JCopes will go ahead and get those 2 dungeons over with just to get those crystals under their belt. And if there were any items they hadn't gotten, I honestly wasn't counting. I imagine Palace of Darkness probably has a couple because of all the Bowlock chests.
Yeah.
And just so there's a chance they're going to hope the hookshot will be there. I'm not sure if we saw 2 or 3 items in Eastern, though, but either way, They'll just
Yeah.
be hoping that it shows up soon.
A forced double dip into Swamp Palace, maybe. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. The only thing with the bow having been on pedestal, if we're going to continue down that logic, was that they didn't have the medallion for Misery Mire, so that would have had to show up soonish. Yeah, and the other thing here is VioletPumpkin now has the gold sword as well. So it's a question of, when JCopes goes into Turtle Rock and finds that hook shot, are they going to bother to continue to go get the gold sword, or are they just gonna warp right out of there? And that could be an edge for VioletPumpkin as well. It's going to take.
Sorry,
less.
you can finish.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say it takes less hits to kill Ganon and other things like that. So, but go on.
Yeah, it was something I noticed. Chat started talking up, and we didn't really address it at this point. Now that Violet's just picked up the bow, we've got go mode on their side.
Yeah, exactly. They are in go mode. So that means they don't. They just. Yeah, they're just gonna finish off this dungeon here, and then they're gonna go over to Eastern and Palace Darkness. I would imagine they go to Palace Darkness first, and they don't have to do anything but find the big key and all the necessary keys in either of those dungeons. And JCopes still needs to go up to Turtle Rock to find that hook shot. So this was a huge play here for VioletPumpkin going up to Turtle Rock and getting that hook shot. So it's not even theoretical anymore about like, well, what's the gold sword going to do for VioletPumpkin? Now it's just like, if the longer JCopes does not go to Turtle Rock, the more damaging it is for them.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's. I mean, just from that small cue of, hey, here's the ice rod. Like, what's the game trying to tell you by giving you the ice rod? And interestingly enough, we didn't even see Trinax as VioletPumpkin just left. And there's the book.
Perhaps we'll get a pedestal check?
Nah, not on your life. Not for VioletPumpkin, anyway.
And given that it's locked behind hookshot, JCopes won't be doing it either.
Oof. Yeah, it is. Yeah, correct. Nobody's gonna be getting that, but we'll get the pedestal check at the end of credits whenever it appears. Yeah, and here's VioletPumpkin gonna be going right to the zone, to the Dark World, and gonna be heading over to Palace of Darkness first. Meanwhile, JCopes still kind of floundering around. Going to be able to finish Palace of Darkness in Eastern Palace now, so they're going to have only Swamp Palace left. But it's going to be too little, too late for them, as they still have yet to go all the way, very, very deep into Turtle Rock to get that hook shot. It's all the way in that final mini roller room.
And the other thing that we don't know is if Turtle Rock is really going to be JCopes' priority. There's a chance we might see a Thieves Town check before then, possibly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's something that's been hanging out since very, very early. It requires very, very little items. So yeah, if JCopes goes to Thieves Town, that's going to be really unfortunate. Because JCopes has not gone in there at all, while VioletPumpkin went in and ahead and did the first 4 chests.
Right, and with the fact there was only 1 item in those first 4 chests, that means JCopes, if they go in there, might be inspired to go ahead and check the last 3 items on their way through as well.
Go ahead and do it all. I mean, well, JCopes right now is desperate to find that hook shot. Where is that hook shot? And if I were in JCopes' shoes and I was going in Thieves Town, you know, just where's this hook shot? Where's this hook shot? And I only find one item at the top. I'm going through the rest of it because that's going to give me the highest possibility to find that hook shot. Right? I'm going to be driven to find it, and I need to check everywhere to get it.
For sure. So yeah, we'll see what JCopes thinks. Hopefully, they might read the logic based on items they got, and they might think, well, I got everything I needed for Turtle Rock, and there are a lot of items in there. That might be the push they need by trying to read the logic, but just due to the fact that Thieves Town is so much more quickly accessible, that might outweigh sort of reading the logic.
Yes, I 100% agree with what you're saying there. You know, it's one of those things where I think that's a kind of a nature versus nurture thing. You know, the game is trying to nurture you by giving you all these items, but you're, as a runner, you're like, well, Thieves Town, it's right here. I'm gonna go in. It's quick. It's easy. I've got everything to do it almost all the time. You know, so.
And just to add one extra red herring for JCopes, Helmsaur King dropped a shovel for us.
Yeah, that's... Of course. Here, I'm going to give you another fetch quest item. Enjoy! Yeah, but I think... Well, I mean, given where the bow was, hook shot, he could still be on this hook shot is somewhere around here kind of thing. So hook shot could theoretically be at the shovel spot, but it's just, you know, more times and wasting for JCopes. Oh, VioletPumpkin getting knocked off the bridge there. Well, that is a very, very nice basement there in Palace of Darkness by VioletPumpkin, just dashing right through that room. Meanwhile, JCopes coming right in here to the top of Eastern Palace. He's going to be at the Armos Knights really soon, and Silver Arrow is going to make real quick work of all of that. But VioletPumpkin coming up on that big key here in this dark maze. And I think once they find it, they're just going to mirror straight back to the beginning and beeline it right for Helmsaur King, because they don't actually care about any of the items in this dungeon. Yeah, and there's that mirror warp.
Yeah, at this point, like with red mail, butter sword, silvers, like the only safety that they might be hoping for is more health, but for runners of this caliber, I expect they're probably happy with how many hearts they have.
Well, and Violet also has 2 bottles, so if they really care, they can flute it over to the witch and pick up, you know, 2 blue potions real quick. They have enough money for it. And then flute it up to Ganon's Tower, right up to Death Mountain and to Ganon's Tower. You know, it's a bit of a time loss to do that, but it's the safety, and if they feel like that's what they need to complete the game, then they can do that. And it's not, it's worth it to do that. Yeah, JCopes, more on these lost leaders coming here to south of Grove. This is not going to be anything. And I think they're going to check that shovel spot, too, while they're over here. This is just... I mean, my heart goes out to JCopes here. Yeah, bombos from shovel spot would be absolutely, absolutely terrible. Of course, that would mean that Pedestal can't contain anything, because you had to get... you had to defeat Helmsaur King to get... the medallion to go into Misery.
unfortunately. Just a red rupee there, so that it's at least not leading them further astray.
Yeah. Yeah, getting like Bombos going into Misery Mire. There's 2 items. Oh, here's a pyramid of double-chested fairy check.
And definitely, I'm thinking JCopes really does not want to go into Turtle Rock, finding all these extra, like, oh, well, I got this overworld check. Oh, and this one got added in too. And
yeah, these are look, these are good plays by JCopes. We know this is not going to pay out for him. These are absolutely 100% reasonable. Going to Turtle Rock, it's super out of the way. It does contain a bunch of items, but it's out of the way, and it's the only thing that's up there at this point in time. So I don't blame them for making this choice, but you know, we have perfect vision here as the commentators, and we can tell that this is just not going to pay out for them. Yeah, if JCopes gets into Misery Mire before Turtle Rock, that's going to turn this run into a real disaster. They would still have to find Bombo's medallion, and at this point in time, I'm going to bet Bombo's medallion's tucked away somewhere real deep, like Ganon's Tower.
it's starting to seem like that's the case.
Yeah, there's a nice blue potion there for JCopes as a safety pickup. And here it is. Here it is, the play that JCopes needed to make. And it's going to be the Turtle Rock play.
Do you think there's any chance JCopes might actually stop at Spike Cave first, though?
No, I wouldn't. No, they would make that play on their way out of Turtle Rock. Making that play on the way in is really, really long, because it's not convenient to get back to Turtle Rock after you make that play.
That's very true. Just based on the overall checks we had been seeing from JCopes trying to avoid Turtle Rock,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been too surprised. But you are right that routing it in, it does kind of make sense to hold off on Spike Cave till later. The only reason you might not is like, well, it's only one item. What if that's the one item kind of situation? But
yeah, if it's the one item for sure. But you know, JCopes is going to come in here. He's going to be like, this is the hook shot, and then like the sweat's going to start pouring down because, you know, he opened this up earlier and didn't go in. So he's gonna. I mean, I think for JCopes is gonna be like, man, I opened this up so much earlier. What if my opponent opened it up when I opened it up and they went in? Because I know I had everything to go in there. And there it is. There's the last crystal for VioletPumpkin. So, that being said, folks, I do believe that as we are on speed gaming, that is going to start our guessing game. So get your big key location guesses in, and as soon as we get to Ganon's Tower here, we're going to end our game, and we'll see who gets the correct guess.
yeah, and for those of you that have donated 250 bits to any of the Speed Gaming channels or subscribed to any of them, if you are the winner of our game today, you may be added to our leaderboards. So get excited for that.
Leaderboards are always fun. There's the big key for JCopes.
So do you have a personal favorite chest or location you hope to find the big key in?
No, not really. Torch, maybe. Just give it to him somewhere like early, nice and early. Not tile room, please. Not tile room.
Fair enough. I'm a personal fan of that torch myself, so when
Well, there
picking
you
a
go.
number, I usually say 3.
3 is the torch. All right. And VioletPumpkin almost there. Meanwhile, JCopes coming into the chain shop room. And what a nice little swag strat there, kicking the block. Let's see if I can do this correctly here. We're gonna get into again his tower. Yeah, the torch can be 3. They go to the 2 chests on the right first, and then go down to the torch. That would be number 3. All right. Stop. Did I do that right?
I believe so. So there's our bombos in chest 2. Number 1 was a key.
All right. All right, so it looks like VioletPumpkin going to the right here, having picked up that key. It's an atypical play, but it is a play that you'll see runners make from time to time. It's going to give them access to a couple of different chests here. So, and we'll see what...
It's a good thing this isn't a key sanity, or that big key could have been way over in Misery Mire since they got bombos now.
Oh my goodness. Please no to the key sanity. There is the powder.
Yeah, 3 through 6, still not finding it yet, but yeah, powder's probably the most interesting find there. Might be nice to make some fairies upstairs.
Yeah.
Number 7 on the torch, just a big 20. Meanwhile, JCopes still on that hunt for hookshot, heading to Mimic Cave. Not going to find what they're looking for here, but it's just around the corner. 8's just 10 arrows. 9 is another key. 10 is 50 rupees, and 11's 50 rupees. And number 12, another 50 rupees. Wow, it's a lot of 50s. And with that hookshot, JCopes is out of T-Rock, about to head to the back of Swamp. Probably very frustrated, but ready to be done with the seed, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's probably a feeling of dread for JCopes.
And 13's going to be another big 20. Heading into the rando room up next.
Yeah, big key probably going to be here. I'd hate to see it all the way on ice almost.
$14, another small key. Arrow upgrade 15. 16's our big key today. So if we had anyone guess 16, they're our lucky winner.
Yeah, did we have a 19?
16.
Or I'm 16, sorry. Don't. Doesn't look like we had a 16. A 17. Some 14s, but... All right, Violet Pumpkin going to use the bonk here to get into this safety room in Ganon's tower. Meanwhile, JCopes making their way through Swamp Palace here. Having the hook shot, only has to just finish this up and go and defeat Argus. That will be their last crystal, and they can just go right up to Ganon's tower.
And we also saw Violet make a quick little pit stop to that fairy room using a bonk to get across the gap. That is actually the one gap that the only way to get across... I might be able to bomb jump, but I know like the fact that you're sort of logically expected to bonk across that gap is the main reason why bonking is considered an in-logic strat. So that's why we can use bonking to get across the gap in Misery Mire in logic, why that one hookshot cave chest can have hookshot in it. So a lot of implications just based off of one little side room there.
Yeah, when I first got this game and was playing it, I could never figure out how you got over there. I always saw that, always knew you could get over there because saw the crack in the wall, you could throw the bomb over there, it would open up, and then was like, all right, well, how do you get over there? It was very frustrating. It wasn't until I started speedrunning the game that I learned you could bunk over there. All right, and JCopes fighting Argus to get their last crystal now. Meanwhile, Violet finishing up the gauntlet, or having finished up the gauntlet, coming into the first of the two Wizroad rooms here.
So JCopes now going to start making their way up into Ganon's tower. It'll be interesting to see the route they opt to take, because they might shave a little bit of time off if they stick with full left side to begin with instead of doing a right side gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
On its own, it probably won't be enough to turn this around, but still it'll be nice to see a little bit of catching up on JCopes' side. And really, overall, with all the extra checks that JCopes did, they're actually still pretty decently close, I'd say, just based off of all... When you keep in mind all the extra stuff that they went through.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, so JCopes, I think, as part of the extra checks that they were doing, always kept the goal in mind, you know? So they were going in. They fully cleared Palace of Darkness. They fully cleared Eastern Palace. You know, but those were things that they needed to do anyway. So the things that JCopes ended up doing that were extra weren't actually that big or that far out of the way as far as what their target was anyway. When you're talking about south of Grove and the shovel spot, right? Like, you know, not too terribly far from where their target was anyway, which was ultimately Swamp Palace and Turtle Rock to get that hook shot for Swamp Palace. So here's Violet Pumpkin on Aghanim 2 now. And meanwhile, JCopes coming in and getting those first two chests in Ganon's Tower.
Aghanim causing a little bit of trouble there for Violet, but still makes their way through, and they'll be on their way to the final fight. It's time for Ganon.
Yeah, certainly not too bad. Didn't take too much damage there. Just kind of missed a couple of shots. So it could be really awkward. I know I have trouble just setting up the correct angle to reflect those shots back and get it in the right spot. So Not certainly not a bad fight there by VioletPumpkin, and they're straight into Ganon. They don't have any safeties if I recall correct, so they're going to be. They do have silvers, so that's certainly a thing. Plus golden sword, so these first 2 cycles are only going to require 6 hits.
And that, along with half magic, if they really felt the need, they could pull out the cape possibly during this phase, but so far not seeming to be the case.
Yeah, no. They do want to be careful. Even with red mail, they do still take about 2 hearts of damage here from Ganon. All right, JCopes coming up on the fire bars here, and then closing in on Randomizer, which is where the big key is. And there's 1 silver arrow there for Violet. Gonna get another one here. No chance for a double. Ganon was too close to the edge there. And they want to be careful. They're very nice. They were standing real close to that edge there. If Ganon came over and appeared on top of them, they were gonna get knocked off. But very nicely played by VioletPumpkin, and it looks like VioletPumpkin has finished with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 19 seconds. And so, GG's to VioletPumpkin there. That the differentiator, of course, being going into Turtle Rock as early as they did, and we'll see if we can get them in. JCopes wants to be careful here. Only having a heart and a half here now.
And without going to right side, JCopes not having powder, so we'll get these fairies for some health, but after that, upstairs won't have any way to make any more fairies for some extra health.
Yeah, they'll have to be careful.
So far, JCopes just burning everything to the ground here through the gauntlet.
Yeah, why not? Half magic. That fire rod's gonna get it all in one shot. Alright, JCopes there on Lammo 2. Making use of that tempered sword. The sword spins there. And a little Cane of Samaria block for frustration, I think.
Yeah, just trying to have a little fun as they prepare to get into this Wizrobe room, I suppose.
Yeah, I love the strats with the cane and the Wizrobes here. Just being able to shoot that block and kill 3 of them at a time is really cool.
Indeed, I think getting that quadra kill on the Wizrobes is probably the most satisfying part of Ganon's Tower for me.
Yeah. I used to be able to do that, but I keep messing it up these days.
I'm like about 50-50.
Yeah. You are at here, Death Mountain. We're gonna find out what was on the pedestal pretty soon here. I'm gonna bank couch cash. Ooh, JCopes missing that bomb a little bit there. And the green goo. Oh, it's a bottle with green potion. So possibly the 4th bottle there. All right, JCopes just says I'm gonna grab that big green magic refill, and I'll keep moving on. Nice, very nice, very quick Moldorm 2. And a very timely Sank Heart in the final chest of Ganon's Tower, refilling his life. That couldn't ask for more there, could you? In this situation?
Maybe Buttersword, but we know it wasn't there, so I don't know. Definitely Sankard is definitely a happy find to get there.
Yeah, he was low on life there, so like I think that was exactly what he wanted. Nice double there, and another double there for JCopes. Just an absolute master of the angles here. Getting one more hit. He's got one more hit here, and Aga 2 is down for JCopes.
I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get Violet into the chat for an interview. I do see that they are in the Twitch chat, though. Violet, if you're willing to comment, mention in there, how are you feeling after this run? Because that was a very interesting one to watch.
Yeah, here JCopes heading right into Ganon, and now JCopes does have that blue bottle. They did go to the witch and fill up that blue bottle, so that is a safety that they certainly have. I'm sure they would prefer not to use it, so that is certainly an option for them.
Feeling really good. It was a very interesting seed to play. That's putting it a little simply there, but yeah, for sure, it was definitely a very interesting one to watch. The kind of the big play that set the two of you aside, that sort of set you two apart, Violet, was that you gambled on T-Rock a lot earlier than JCopes did. What kind of made you kind of go over the edge and make that play? Because it, like, anytime going to T-Rock as early as you did seems like, to most people, a crazy idea. So kind of what was that, the turning point in your head that made you sort of pull the trigger?
Yeah, big risk there, big risk. All right, and JCopes on the final stage of Ganon here. 1 silver in Ganon already. Getting a nice... I thought that was a double there, but I must have miscounted, because he's got Ganon down already. That was awesome.
There was a ninja stealth arrow somewhere in there, probably.
Yeah, it has to have been a ninja stealth arrow. Look at this first sword, 3 minutes in. Quite the seed here. And a winner is you for sure. Definitely thank you everyone for coming out and watching. Let's see if we can maybe have JCopes join us for a little bit.
All right, Violet saying the main thing that made them go in there was they had the items to full clear, and having the medallion tends to be a hint that something's in there. So, yeah, definitely that idea of reading the logic of the items. Definitely definitely good thinking there, and it certainly did pay off today.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I think we were talking to that a little bit. You know, that ice rod that gives you everything you need to full clear. And do I go in there? It's out of the way. It's up there. I've already done everything else. You know, if it doesn't pay out, then I've wasted a lot of time going up to Turtle Rock. But, you know, I've got everything. The game's kind of pointing in that direction. You know, we'll see here. All right, looks like JCopes is going to join us in a bit here. And JCopes, hello.
Howdy.
How are you, man? What were you thinking there with that seed?
I thought the seed was all right, all things considered.
Mhm.
Hookshot was a little bit trolly, and same with Bowl, but aside from that, I didn't think it was too bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, that hookshot location was really the final sort of determining point, especially with Violet deciding to go into Turtle Rock around the time you decided to make the plays to start dipping crystal dungeons that you didn't have the items to complete.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, that was the differentiator there, and it was interesting because you opened up Turtle Rock earlier on, and then just didn't go in there.
I was so tempted to go in there. I was on the fence, and I decided, you know what? I now can do Ice and Moth, Ice and Skullwood, so I should probably do those before I dip into Pendants.
Yeah. No, I think those were certainly the right call given the information that you had, because it's always better to do a crystal than a pendant you may not need to do.
And one thing as I think back, Jacobs, you left the chests in the right side of Ice Palace, like the hookshot locked ones. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is that something you usually do if you don't have hookshot? Like, you tend to avoid having to do that second bomb jump?
If I don't have Hookshot, I'll usually bomb jump, but at that point, I thought I already got all 3 items from Ice.
Ah, okay. It might have just been my inability to count to 3, which tends to happen pretty often during these runs.
Yeah, I was excited to that bomb jump, and that maybe I miscounted too, but yeah, at that point I thought I had all 3.
Okay, and it seems like chat's confirming that, so it's just I'm just being humiliated by my lack of number skills. I need to go back to grade school or something.
Well, 1, 2, 4, right?
Thought that's how it
I
went.
think that's how it goes.
That's definitely the number of the count, and from what I know.
Overall, though, early on, it was crazy to see how similar the two of you were routing the entire seed. We were like, okay, one of them's going into Skull Woods. What's the other one? Oh, they're doing Skull Woods too. Oh, okay, maybe some variants. One of them's doing, I don't know, the South Flip. Nope, there goes the other one doing the same thing. Just it was just kind of a huge game of follow the leader up until that one big divergence, which was just crazy to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. You guys were. I mean, there was a little bit of back and forth with the lead. I think Violet had a little bit of a lead earlier on, and then you switched to you being in the lead, and then suddenly Violet was like, "I'm gonna go to Turtle Rock," and you went to I believe Palace of Darkness, and Violet was going around Turtle Rock, nothing, hookshot, and that was huge. And you were still kind of doing Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace area, and then you went over to Swamp Palace, which I think is pretty reasonable. And you found the bow in there, and then that took you back to the other 2.
I was afraid for a moment that, like, when you got that shovel, that maybe Bombos would show up, and then you'd start considering Meyer, and I was really afraid that might have happened instead of going into T-Rock. So I'm glad Bombos held off until you made it into Ganon's tower.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I'm really glad I didn't see Bombos till later too. I still probably would have done Turtle Rock first, but at any given moment that could have changed. So by not seeing it, that possibility doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was going to ask about, so when it came down to time, you actually had two choices there. You could have gone to the Thieves Town, or Turtle Rock, and yet you chose Turtle Rock. So what was your thoughts, at least with that? Because Thieves Town you had access to that much earlier on, and Hookshot could have equally been in there.
I don't know why. I just don't like going into Thieves Town. I would much rather put it off until as late as I can. Sometimes it'll bite me, sometimes it won't.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily this time it was in not in Thieves Town. That was gonna be my next move.
Okay. Well, so are you happy with your performance so far in the 4-2? That's a really solid record.
Oh yeah, I'm really glad. I'm doing a lot better than I anticipated.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Yeah, and Violet, I know there's a chat delay, but question for you, just kind of, so now you've gotten up to that 5th victory, so you're set to be in the bracket. So I'm sure that feels pretty good. Any kind of additional thoughts to that? Are you surprised? Is it, you were ready for this? I don't know. How are you feeling, basically? And I guess as we wait for her answer, JCopes, do you have any kind of, feelings going into next week? Any kind of fears of who you might have to face to kind of fight for that 5th win or anything like that?
Not necessarily. I'm pretty indifferent to how the next matchups will be revealed.
Yeah, it is. This round is 2 weeks long, folks. So a lot more randomizer action going on. But due to RPG limit break happening, and of course some of the runners attending that, this round 6 here will be 2 weeks in length. So we won't get to round 7 until after that. But still lots and lots of randomizer action going on.
And yeah, it's definitely a pretty good attitude for you to have there, JCopes. Just, take it easy, not, overthinking, stressing out about it. Can respect that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's probably a really good outlook. Like as long as I could learn something from each matchup, I'm content.
Yeah, I like watching the videos on demand after my races. Always learn a thing or two. So hopefully you maybe you do the same.
Yeah, and Violet saying, feel pretty relieved and amazed. Wasn't expecting to get to the bracket when they signed up. So yeah, that's definitely exciting for you then, not seeing that coming. That's definitely good. Words are hard to formulate apparently, but yeah, that's great news to hear for you. GG's for sure. So any kind of final thoughts about this seed or the tournament or anything from either of you runners here?
I'd like to have an answer, but nothing's coming to mind.
That's okay, man. No problems there.
Totally understand. This seed took a lot of concentration to get through, so definitely don't blame you.
All right. And with that, I think we are going to wrap up here. There's certainly more randomizer action coming your way, so be sure to check out the a link to the past randomizer tournament schedule for all the upcoming matches. And if you enjoyed watching these runners, you know, there's some links in chat. You can go ahead and check out their streams and see what's going on with them. So from the Speed Gaming booth, I am Cerberoth, and we wish you a good night or whatever time of day it is for you. We'll see you next mission.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around, everybody. And one last quick thing, mentioning there's tournament like plenty of runs going on. There is on the ALTTP Randomizer original channel, no number on the end. There is currently a run going between James FNX versus the Fizz. So if you haven't had enough tournament race tonight, you can jump in. They're probably about a little under an hour in at this point, so there's plenty of run left to go there. So feel free to consider going there. But yeah, thanks everyone for sticking around, and hope you enjoyed yourselves. I know we did. Have a good one, everybody.